So this season has definitely been a disappointing year for the Boston Celtics, as just last season they were coming off an Eastern Conference Finals appearance, but this year we're 50 plus games into the season and they're below 500 and only the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference with a 25-26 record. But despite how terrible Boston has been this season, I still have faith in them as one of the better teams in the East. So in today's video, I'll be giving 4 reasons why I believe you should still fear the Boston Celtics. Before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video to help my channel grow, subscribe to my channel if you want weekly NBA content, and to help me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers, and comment on this video to start a conversation with me as I respond to all of my comments. And play that intro. The first reason you should still fear the Boston Celtics is because the Celtics are a team capable of being one of the better teams in the league on the defensive end of the floor. As although they rank 17th in defensive rating this season, their personnel and coaching has me believing that in a 7-game series, their defense will be better than it has been in the regular season. In a 7-game series, Brad Stevens will probably make a great defensive scheme no matter who they're facing, and when you just look at their roster, you can see they have a plethora of really good defenders, which makes me question why they've been bad this season. But nonetheless, they have guys like Jayson Tatum, who's an elite perimeter defender with his size, strength, and quickness. He could be very useful against guys like Kevin Durant, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, and other big forwards in the East. He will be very valuable and he will do a great job against guys like that. They also have Jaylen Brown, who's a great defender as he's very strong and athletic, and he could do a good job on guys like James Harden, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, and just other big forwards or even some guards. And let me not forget to mention that they have Marcus Smart, who in prior seasons has been in the Defensive Player of the Year talks. So he will really help them against the better guards in the East. Smart can also defend forwards at a high level since he's so strong. I think the better teams of the East, he will be very important, maybe even against Milwaukee if they have to guard Chris Middleton or Drew Holiday or just any other team star players. Boston also has Semi Ojeleye, who is a great defender as he's very strong and just big. I think in the postseason, he will be forced to play more minutes against teams that have a lot of elite perimeter scorers like the Nets, Heat, and the Bucks. So this is a team that legitimately has 4 very good defenders, especially on the perimeter, and I think that could cause problems for some of the other better teams in the NBA. The second reason I think you should fear the Boston Celtics is the fact that the Celtics are a team that can keep up with any team on the offensive side of the floor outside of the Brooklyn Nets. Although the Celtics only rank 12th in offensive rating this season, they're definitely capable of being a better team on the offensive side of the floor as they have many guys who can score the ball at a good level. As we all know, they have Jayson Tatum, who's a superstar level player who can put up 30 or more points on any given night. Tatum can also go toe-to-toe with any player in the East on offense. So having him is a huge advantage, and he has such a deep bag and can score in many ways. They also have Jaylen Brown, who has truly broken out this season as he's been averaging 24 points this year on crazy efficiency. Brown is a guy who throughout his career has always improved his play in the postseason, so I wouldn't be surprised if he went crazy in this year's playoffs, and he's a guy who will really help them stay in games against teams that have multiple guys who can score 20 or more points. Boston also has Kemba Walker, who although yes is very hated by Celtics fans for his terrible play, he's still a guy who can go out and score 20 points, and he's a threat on offense, and in the postseason he could very well explode in a playoff game, and I would hope that he could step up. Also, don't forget at the trade deadline, the Celtics added Evan Fournier to their roster, who I think is a guy capable of scoring 20 points a game very efficiently, and he's a guy who can create his own shot and play off the ball and space the floor. In the postseason, if any of Boston's 3 best players in Tatum, Brown, and Kemba struggle in the game, I could see Fournier stepping up and helping them out a lot. Boston legitimately has 4 guys who can score 20 points in a game, and they have 2 guys who can go over 25 points with ease. So this is a very talented team on offense, and you can't be a team with this much offensive talent, and you can't say you're not scared at all about them. The third reason you should be scared to face the Boston Celtics is simply because they have a duo of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. This is one of the best duos in the entire league, since both Tatum and Brown are top 20 players in the league, and they are guys who can score 30 points if needed to. And they're both guys who can play both sides of the floor at an all-NBA level. When you look at the Eastern Conference, in my opinion, Boston's duo definitely can stack up well against the better teams in the East, since a duo of Tatum and Brown is not much worse than a duo of Giannis and Middleton. A duo of Tatum and Brown is not much worse than a duo of Butler and Bam, and a duo of Tatum and Brown isn't much worse than a duo of Embiid and Simmons. And I could realistically see the Celtics duo outplaying any other team in the East duo outside of the Brooklyn Nets, because they're the Brooklyn Nets. The fourth reason you should fear the Boston Celtics is the fact that Boston is a team that, in my opinion, is capable of beating any team in the Eastern Conference on any given night. As I think the Miami Heat are better than the Boston Celtics, I don't think it's impossible to think that Boston could defeat the Heat in a 7-game series, since they do match up well talent-wise. But since Miami did beat them last season, and on top of that, the Heat added Oladipo, who I think makes them a way better team, I give them a good chance to beat Boston. But if they were to face in a series, I believe it would be close. I think in a series against the Bucks, Boston would be really struggling. I do think they have somewhat of a chance to beat the Bucks, and I don't think it's unrealistic to think that Boston could beat the Bucks in the playoffs, since in prior seasons Milwaukee has always choked in the playoffs, and I could see a world where Boston defeats them, but I wouldn't predict them to. And honestly, I don't think Boston has a real chance to beat the Nets, but I could see them beating the 76ers, since in prior seasons it seems like they have the 76ers number. And although Boston is only the 8th seed right now, I think the only teams that would beat them in a 7-game series in the East is the Bucks, Nets, Heat, and 76ers. I don't think teams like the Hawks, Hornets, or the Knicks have a chance to beat Boston in a series. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know how far you think the Boston Celtics will go. Drop a like on this video to help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want weekly NBA content, and tell me to reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers. And comment on this video to start a conversation as I respond to all of my comments. And I'm out.